Good afternoon, everybody. Marty Richards with Richland Center Tourism here again. And this isn't so much a why do we call it that, it's more, well, it is a why do we call it that. Why do we call it the Town of Stevenson Museum? That actually is a good question. So today what we're doing, really cool inside sneak peek to the Town of Stevenson Museum. I'm here today joined by Carol and Steve Stevenson, who are the brains behind it, the collectors behind it, the curators behind it. And if you haven't been to the Town of Stevenson yet, you really need to come and see this museum. And what's funny, when the first person came to me and said, hey, you need to go check out the Town of Stevenson Museum, it's really interesting and there's a lot to look at, I was like, oh, okay, I'll make sure I've got an hour or two and we'll go look at that. Folks, it's a 2 to 3 hour experience at the shortest. There's so much to see. When you start kind of giving the narration of things, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a story behind everything. But I think the first question I'd really like to hear the answer to, how in the world did you get started? You know, both Carol and Steve, I know you have your own little areas that you find to be your favorites, but how did you get to the beginning of collecting these items and the concept of making a museum out of it? Can you tell us how that started?
Well, we never really thought of it as we were starting a museum. Back in Illinois, we had a large home, and when Steve and I got married, I would start bringing collectibles in there, and he would kind of laugh and say, it's going to look great in the garage. Until the day came when he acquired a Coca-Cola machine and brought it home, and he had got it for $35, and a two-man saw was thrown in, and he found out that it was worth more than he had paid. And that was when he was bit by the antique bug.
He got the bug.
He got the bug, absolutely.
That's when Steve got the bug. So now it was a joint adventure. So,
much easier.
Yeah. Then for your habit, everything was fine after that. So,
well,
but what's interesting, I've found as you go through the area, I know when we go, through the mercantile where we're at here now, this is kind of, that warms you to be able to tell some of the stories of some of the items here. But if we get over by the John Deere area, I know Steve lights up then and wants to tell us more. But what I find interesting, it is all themed around it's its own town. How did the idea of, okay, let's come visit us at the Town of Stevenson, how did that come together?
That's not how it started out.
Okay.
It started out where he had 18 John Deere tractors, and we were going to line them up against the wall over on the other side there, and I was going to paint a mural of a nice background, farm
countryside. Yep.
And I said, well, where's my stuff going to go? Well, he went right back to the drawing board and he drew up the town. So no matter what we collected, we could find a place to put it.
Oh, neat. Because I know there's a fire department. I know there's a police department. I know there's a bank. I know there's a post office. And what I found interesting, not only do you have collectible items for those different departments, but much of it is local. There's a lot of local items from people that used to be in business. Can you tell us just a couple of the people local that had kind of given you or you've gotten items from?
Our first item donated to the museum was a plow, a John Deere plow.
Horse-drawn plow.
Horse-drawn. And that was given to us by Darla Wentz.
Oh, neat.
Who was our mayor at the time.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was the first thing.
Okay.
And then slowly people would donate things. And
like Larry Wyman donated the ball and chain.
yes.
So former sheriff donated a ball and chain from the Richland County Jail, which we haven't used those for a couple of years, so that was safe when Larry gave that away. But I've noticed that there are a lot of local touches to it too. Mm-hmm. So for folks that just kind of want to look back at yesteryear, that is really interesting. To get to see some of the different historical artifacts over the years that are actually local to Richland Center and Richland County. I also myself, because being a military family, I find very interesting, you do have a really neat military display. Just tell us a real quick glimpse of that.
And there are locals. We have a Dan Brewer, and we have every branch of the service represented. We even have a 2-star general, and it goes from Spanish-American War to First World War, Second World War. It's Vietnam.
Yep.
Everything's covered.
Good deal. I really enjoy looking at that. You know, having a daughter in the Air Force, it's just kind of neat to see the different things that you have, you know, set up in honor of that. So, just real quick, if folks want to come see you, I always tell folks call first, because that's a good way to set up an individualized, COVID-safe experience.
Yes, they do have to call and make their reservation. Otherwise, we could be out and about.
Yeah.
Nobody's called, so please call and make your reservations, and then it would be your private tour, your family, and Steve and I. It's the only people that would be involved in it.
You bet.
608-538-3900.
There you go, Steve. Good work. I was coming to that. And we're out on Deer Path Lane, which really, Deer Path Lane, a lot of folks aren't familiar or hard to find. I'll tell you one thing you should do. Go to your Facebook page, because there's always good information there on how to connect, where it's located. But remember, call first, and then you'll be able to set up that arrangement to have a personalized, individualized tour.
And as long as they realize they shouldn't look on a map trying to find the town of Stevenson, because that's our last name.
Yep.
But we're Richland County.
And the post office hasn't put an official post office here, so they don't recognize the town of Stevenson.
No. And we're between A and E on English Ridge Road and Deer Path Lane.
There we go. So again, folks, we encourage you pick that time, a great winter experience and or bad weather experience, because it's most all indoors and you're able to spend quite a bit of time, and it's always interesting. Every time I come back, this is about my 5th, 6th time here, somewhere in that ballpark, I always see something that I haven't seen before, or you've added something.
Yes.
So a return trip is, you know, to make 2 trips, not a bad idea. So for Steve and Carol Stevenson, thank you for joining us. I'm Marty Richards with Richland Center Tourism. Let's everybody have a great day. Lately, she's had a hard time getting it to stop.